Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 93 of Screw the Commute podcast. We got an old buddy of mine here, Ty Brown. He's a dog trainer extraordinaire. And more than that, he's figured out how to make a high-touch business operate without his full-time presence. And that's something a lot of us want to do. Now, your last episode, oh my goodness, Robert Siciliano's, that was number 92. This guy hates fraud and he loves personal security. He's a guy, when he was a little kid, got totally ganged and beat up, and his first little girlfriend, when he was 12, told him that she was raped, and he didn't even know what sex was, let alone rape. And so he started a lifelong quest of taking care of people and keeping them away from violence and fraud, and that's what he does today. So you don't want to miss that. Our podcast app is in the iTunes store, but you can go to screwthecommute.com/app, A-P-P, and you can learn all about it, all the cool things it'll do on your tablets and cell phones. And I mean, you could be, on a phone call in your car listening to a podcast. Phone rings, podcast pauses, do your phone call, podcast resumes, all automatically. So it's just a lot of cool things like that. And you can keep your favorite episodes on there, everything. And we have full instructions on how to operate all the cool features over there at screwthecommute.com/app. Now, our youth program is in full swing, and once a month, we're going to highlight a youth, an entrepreneurial youth. And when I say young, it's up to about 22 years old or early 20s. If they're older than that, they might be eligible for our regular podcast. But if you know anybody, have them email me at orders@antion.com, and I'll tell them how to apply to be featured on one of our monthly youth episodes. All right, our sponsor today is Screw the Commute private Facebook group, where you can interact with me, my staff, and with other great entrepreneurs and like-minded people. And it's a place where my staff and I put in training and business tips several times a week. You can ask questions and get feedback on things that you are doing. I'll tell you more about that later, but you can check it out later at screwthecommute.com/Facebook. And of course, all the things we mentioned today, Ty's great stuff, and my stuff will be in the show notes. This is episode 93. All right, let's get to the main event. Ty Brown is an internationally recognized dog trainer, author, and speaker. And I know his effectiveness because he's helped me with my dogs when he was here in Virginia Beach helping me out. His dog training company, he's called Ty the Dog Guy, is one of the largest in the nation and helps dog owners around the world to solve dog problems. Ty, are you ready to screw?
I am, thanks.
So before we got started here, I heard some dogs in the background there. How many dogs you got around you right now?
I've just got one dog. I've got a little female cattle dog. A
cattle dog? What, are you going into farming or what?
No, she's I imported her from Portugal, really rare breed of cattle dog.
Wow.
She's a lot of fun. But,
that's cool. So tell everybody about the business you got going, because it's really prolific.
Yeah, thanks. So we do two things. We help people solve problems with their dog, and then we help people solve problems with dogs. And so what I mean by that is people come to us when they've got dogs who are aggressive, or dogs who need obedience training, or dogs with behavior problems and, antisocial stuff, and we help them solve that. And then the other part of what we do is we train service dogs. And so we help people that have disabilities to lead a more full life and to do more things by training service dogs for them. So like I say, we help people with dog problems, and we help people with problems using dogs.
Well, one thing I'm thinking, I'm hearing that you're missing a little bit, and I want to ask you, what percentage of those problems with the dogs are really problems with the owners?
99 point something.
That's what I thought. The dogs can handle about anything. It's the owners you got to train, right?
Oh, I always say dogs are the easy part. Getting the owners on board can be tough. Yeah.
What are some of the biggest issues that you see owners do that are hurting their goal of having a nice, well-behaved dog?
Most owners just don't follow through. They ask the dog to do things and they put themselves in a position where they can't follow through. And following through might be having a leash on or, being able to reward, being able to correct, something like that. And so they're telling the dog, sit, come here, do this, do that. But the dog's just wandering around doing whatever he wants. And so people say, oh, my dog just does something if he wants to. And I'm like, well, it's kind of what you trained him to do. He's you've given him commands and you haven't followed through. And as a result, he picks and chooses whether or not he feels like he's going to do them. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I always say that there wouldn't be any shelters if it wasn't for goofball owners. Because a lot of the dogs in there are just perfectly wonderful dogs, but it's a human that screwed them up. Right. So how do you work with people? How does it work? Do you take their dog or do you go to their house? How does that work?
Yeah, good question. So a couple of different ways. So we help people all around the world we've got some online training products, some DVD products, stuff like that. And so that's one way that we help people just all over. In our local market of Utah, we service Utah, but we also get people sending us their dogs from around the country. And I end up traveling quite a bit, helping people around the country. But yeah, people will send us their dogs and they actually stay in our trainers' homes. And so they have a nice, they live nice. They're not off in some dirty boarding kennel.
Right.
So they're living in our trainers' homes and we train them that way. And then we teach the owners how to maintain that training. We'll even go to their homes and teach them what they should change and how they should implement our system so a variety of different ways.
If people want the fastest way, would that be where they let you take over the dog and be able to train it, multiple times a day? Is that the fastest method?
Yeah, we call that boot camp. So the dog comes and stays with us, and in a few short weeks we can. And it's not saying, hey, look how great we are, but in a few weeks we can get done what most owners are going to take months and months to accomplish.
They ever do. Right.
Yeah. Even with help, even with some coaching. So yeah.
Yeah. Cause I always wondered, coming once a week or something, especially if the owner isn't really, really diligent, once a week is not a lot to train a dog,
And I found over the years, the more that I highlight that, the better we sell, When you pull back that curtain and show, look, you've got some work ahead of you. People are like, this guy's real. He's not trying to, sell us this super simple way.
Unicorn dog, right? That doesn't exist,
exactly.
Right? That instantly is perfect little gentleman or female. So you've got an interesting, let's take it back before we get into the details of how you run a company like this. But did you ever have a job?
Not very well.
How did this transition start out?
So, I started out when I was 14. I begged a dog trainer for a job.
Oh, okay. So you've been into dogs your whole life pretty much then, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
okay.
I opened up the phone book and started calling dog trainers until one agreed to work with me. Now, it turned out to be more of like an apprenticeship. Like I would work for free. So I still needed money. So during high school years, I did the high school stuff, fast food, and got fired for most fast food jobs.
I would have eaten all the profits up. They kicked me out.
So I did that while I was learning the dog training trade. Into my early 20s, I was doing college wasn't for me. I tried it and didn't really care for it. And so I tried real estate. I was doing telemarketing stuff. And I was doing that until about 23 years old, and I got a job training dogs out at a protection dog company out in Boston. So I did that for a couple years and used that to teach me more about the skill set of how to train. And then I was about 25 or so when I started my own business. So that was 13 years ago. I'm 38 now. So
how'd you end up Boston to Utah?
Well, I had lived in Utah. I have a lot of family in Utah. Originally from California. Moved to Utah because that's where I originally went to school at BYU for that shining semester that I did. And then just stuck around and, because I had brothers and sisters living there and stuff. And so when we went to Boston, we went from Utah. And then
is your family, your wife?
Yeah, sorry. I was married at 25. I was married. So my wife and I moved to Boston, and then we were there for 2 years. Well, no, at 23 we moved there, and then at 25 I moved back to Utah, and we started this company. And here we are.
Let me ask you though, the transition. Like, were you planning and saving up money to start your own company, or did you just quit one day and leave, or how did you make the transition?
Oh, that was tough because we were So the reason we left Boston was because my wife got pregnant, and it was always her goal that she wanted to stay home when we had kids and raise the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so working as a dog trainer in Boston, I knew there was no way I wasn't going to make enough money as a dog trainer employee. And so,
right.
So we moved back to Utah, and I was going to give up dogs because I had no idea how to start a business.
So you didn't have money saved up and ready to start as soon as you got there. This was
no.
Yeah, okay.
We were so close to bankruptcy at that point because, we'd been living in Boston. We'd accrued some debt because it was expensive.
Yeah,
and I wasn't making
expensive
much as a dog trainer. Moved back to Utah. Shortly thereafter, she has the baby. She's working from home. I got a job at a factory, working, making drill bits or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working a graveyard shift, and I got that job because they had insurance and they paid for school. And so I was like, well, I'll try school again. And I did another semester, and I was like, oh yeah, I hate this a lot.
Right.
And so I was really pushed into dog training. I had no idea how to run a business. I had no idea how to start a business, no idea how to do marketing, but I just started studying it. In fact, I ran across your stuff way back 2004, 2005.
Yeah, wow, yeah. Because I think I remember I ran across you when I was starting to get into dogs, and then you had heard of me. And I think, wow, small world, huh? And then, that I think that prompted how you came out. We helped each other out on some stuff, and it was great. But yeah, I was very surprised when I contacted you and you had heard of me.
Well, yeah, because you bought one of my DVDs. And,
exactly, yeah.
And I'm writing this out on the envelope. I'm like, Tom Antion, I know who that is. This is awesome. And so I gave you a call and came on out. But yeah, so worked at that graveyard job for a little bit just to have enough money to pay the bills while I thought I would go back to school.
Health insurance is always a big issue for people, especially new baby and everything.
But yeah, I was making $12 an hour. Wow. My wife did side jobs like babysitting and helping out. But we were so poor. So literally getting started my business, $10 a month for web hosting was the max. That was the most that I could do. And that's what I did. $10 a month, put up a website, wasn't that great. Went out, started getting some press. Actually, that it took me a few months to be able to quit the job. But once I did, that first full year, we did over $100,000.
Wow.
And I was thrilled. No college education. I'd been making $12 an hour. To go up to $100,000, doing something that I really loved was unbelievable feeling.
Exactly. And but you struggled and you paid your dues for sure. You kept going and kept a family going and everything in the midst of it. So when I hear people nowadays crying the blues about, I can't do it. Well, these kind of stories mean, yes, you can do it if you get off your butt and do it.
Yeah.
Graveyard shift to do it, even at $12 an hour. Yeah.
And that was the worst, working all night and then you can't sleep during the day. I don't care.
Yeah. And then dealing with the baby and a family and all that. Wow. Didn't know all that. Tell us a little bit about, now I understand you made a personal move in your location and your big company is still in Utah, right?
Yeah. So we've got all of our trainers and staff still in Utah. They all work from their homes and help out, clients all around the area.
So it's a giant virtual dog training business. So there's no physical one place like big kennel kind of place?
Exactly. Yeah. We used to have a building. We got rid of that. I realized how much I hated having a building. It really tied you down and you got to go to work every day, which I didn't want to do that. But yeah, people don't know this, but Utah has some of the worst air in the country. It's very polluted. Not to mention, the snow.
Why is that? I mean, is there industry there what makes the air so bad?
It's called inversion. And so Salt Lake's a big city, but it sits in a valley. And so this inversion comes, which traps the bad air in. And so a storm will knock it right out and the air is super clean for a few days. But yeah, it's like, I had pneumonia 3 times in the 12 years I was living there. And every year sick. And our kids were starting to get sick every year. And like real sickness, not just a little cold. And so yeah, we and I still go back and forth a lot. Yeah, we're in South Carolina now. We live in Charleston, and so
And you're running a major business out of well, you are doing a worldwide business because of your online stuff, which we'll get to. But it just amazes me someone can run a high touch business like this remotely, because you must have some great trainers and good people with you.
we do, and it's taught me so much about how you can live away from your business. It's 100% well, not 100%, but the people that you have are so critical. And I think everybody knows that in theory, but in practice, I've come to realize just how unbelievably important having amazing people is.
What are some of the tips that allow you to choose such people?
All of the people that work for us used to be clients. And so that just happens to be, I don't know if that's specific to my industry, but we've hired lots of people over the years that were just good dog people, or maybe had experience training, or, from a lot of different backgrounds. But really the only people that stayed and have done well have been clients that love the results that they got and are dog nerds, and they're into the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
taught them how to train? Because being a dog parent and maintaining is different than training from scratch.
Yeah. And so these are people that just got so into it, and we kept seeing them out at our group classes, and we're like, hey, why don't you come work for us? And so having just motivated people is huge. But I've had motivated people before, and they were awful. And so having a system where we can pay them really well is the only way that I can live on the other side of the country. Because really it keeps them super motivated. In most dog training businesses, dog trainers are going to make $15, $20, $25 an hour if they're lucky. And there's no loyalty at $25 an hour. You can go, there's a lot of things that you can do and go make more than $25 an hour. And so yeah, we've been able to develop a sales and marketing system where they just worry about training. We do all of the sales, the marketing, the admin, the billing, all of that stuff. And everybody makes over six figures. And so they've got a lot of
incentive to hang in there, right?
Exactly.
All they're doing was what they love.
Yep. They don't have to worry about the junk or the garbage parts of running a business. And they just do what they like, and they get paid really well, and probably more than they could make if they went off and did it on their own. So yeah, they're great people that are highly motivated, and that's what allows, because I travel a decent amount and I'm out of the state quite a bit. So yeah, it allows for hands-off management.
Now, I kind of remember that you're pretty good at publicity, and I think you mentioned you got some press. So tell us about how publicity and press has worked into your success in your business.
Yeah. So in the very beginning, like I say, I had nothing. I had $10 a month for a website and that's it. And so I knew I had to make money, or I knew I had to get people looking at this website and at least knowing who I was. And I was a 25-year-old kid, so I didn't know a whole lot of people in Utah. I didn't have contacts. So yeah, and to be honest, I don't remember who I learned this from. But and maybe it was from reading your stuff way back when, but I just found, the first thing I did was found it was some, how every month has its thing. It was like National Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Month, or something like that. And every month's got something to do with something that you do for
every day. Actually, there's places you can go to see what is, like there's National Potato Day. And I mean, just all kinds of, you can actually start your own also too, to get publicity. Yeah. So there's bound to be a bunch of dog related stuff.
Yeah. So this was Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Month. And there was a radio station. It was the top station. It is still the top station in Utah, and I'm still friends with the DJs. But I knew that they were animal lovers because I listened to them and they talked about it online, about their dogs and cats. And so I basically just started calling and emailing them over and over, saying, hey, did you guys know it's National Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Month? We should really do a segment on this. And so I'd love to come in and talk about tips for training. And sure enough, I got one of the hosts on the line, and she's like, that is a great idea. Let's do it. And so I came in and brought my dog, and it was fun, and I answered questions, and I came home and there was 10 emails in my inbox, which was unbelievable for me. It was crazy. And that got me started, and it was, it became so popular that for several years I was going in every week, and I had a segment which, if you were to pay for that kind of
Oh my
exposure,
God, yeah.
I don't know how any business could.
No, you couldn't possibly do it. And let's recap a little bit what you did. You researched the place and pitched them what you knew they were interested in. That was the really brilliant part that you did there. And yeah, I started my whole career with what I call media marketing, which, I couldn't stand cold calling, and I made one cold call and almost puked. It was just, just like you in college, I just couldn't stand it. And so, yeah, I would do anything possible to get seen on radio, TV, or in print. And that's how I started my speaking career. So that's really important for the listeners out there to see what he did with no money, was able to kick off a business just by paying attention to the media. So that was brilliant.
Well, and I found that every media outlet, and so right after that, I went to the biggest TV station in town, or the biggest morning show. Right. There's a Utah morning show, kind of like The View, but it's a Utah-based one. And I just pitched them an idea, and I said, hey, this coming month is whatever. How about we do this? How about we do a before and an after? One of your viewers that loves your show, that's got a naughty dog, we'll do a before of what the dog's like, and then we'll do an after I've been able to do some free training with them. And they're like, this is fantastic. Yeah. And so I got free TV spot. Well, not one, I parlayed it into two.
Mm-hmm. Right, of course.
And so two TV spots.
Anticipation for the second spot was, big, I imagine, because they want to see, did he do it or didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that first year I got on, I think not every major outlet, but like I got on 2 or 3 TV stations. I got on the big pop music radio station, as well as like the big news radio station. And I got in the 2 major newspapers like that first year or two, doing all that same type of stuff, just coming up with an idea. And the funny part is I never had to push very hard. I had to like sometimes push hard just to get through. But once I got through to the person I was supposed to talk to, like as long as my idea was halfway good, they're like, yeah, let's do it. And so it was kind of like, so these days I don't do a whole bunch. Like if I ever want to, I can go do it. But I was amazed at how easily you can get press as long as you come up with a good idea.
Exactly. Because you're doing that. I mean, a lot of people are saying, well, why would they listen to me? Well, they need you. They got to fill up that airwaves every day, all day long. And so if you make their job easy by coming up with a great idea, you're on, period.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's brilliant. Now it led to, when did the online courses and books come along?
Almost immediately. And
because you can see bigger than a local area. You were thinking pretty much globally rather than just local dog trainer.
Yeah. And looking back, I really should have focused on the local stuff more and really sussed out my program and sussed out my identity. But I don't regret also trying, going out right away and doing some DVD courses and some stuff like that, because it taught me so much. But yeah, almost right away. And I look back and I think, man, that kid was arrogant. He was 25 years old. Who was he to be writing ebooks and doing videos? But
well, guess what? I use your video and I still remember, even though I slip like every owner does, you give one command and that's it, right? One command, and then they got to do it or they don't do it. But you don't just say, come on, sit.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, but yeah, it was, I always wanted to do something big. And this was, a guy who's now my friend, who I didn't know at the time. He was making a lot with the dog training ebook. And that was back when a lot of ebooks could make a lot of money. And he was doing really well with that. And I saw some write-ups on him. So I was like, well, let me try that. So yeah, just gave it a try and started going.
Now, you have a physical book, though, and you promoted it in, I believe, an interesting way. Was it shipping only in one of those deals or not? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a shipping only type thing. What is it, $5.95? Mm-hmm. I'm testing it right now with just digital copies. Right. And so I don't even have, well, I do have the physical copy, but I'm testing the digital copy stuff. And so, yeah. And then afterwards, it's just, it's a sales funnel that a lot of people are familiar with. Hey, get this book. And afterwards, hey, as long as you've got the book, why don't you try this? And the this is try my DVD course or try
Right. Of course,
my
it
monthly
always
course.
should lead to something else, right?
Mhm.
So tell us more about the online course. If somebody had it, what could it do for them, and how does it work?
So, I mean, I'm obviously the guy trying to sell it, so take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, we know that. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
we're entrepreneurs here. We know it.
Yeah, but what I found that's different about it, that's unique about it, is it's a very comprehensive course where it takes you by the hand and says, do this first, do this second, do this third. Whereas most dog training information out there, whether you buy a course or a book or a video course, is all conceptual. Like, here's concepts around how we get the dog to be obedient, and here's how you can do it here, and here's concepts about how to stop aggression or concepts about how to do this. But nobody puts it together and says, okay, here's the concept. Now do it this way on this week and do it this way.
Yeah, yours is laid out on the first week, do this. Second week, and I think you had a section on what equipment you should have and all the stuff, the nuts and bolts to actually make it work.
Yeah, and so it allows people to really just I want them to understand the concepts, but even if they never understand concepts super well, they can just connect the dots, fill in the blanks, and get good results to great results, somewhere in there, as long as they're putting in the effort. Now, because it's systematic, that does leave room for losing some nuance for, well, my dog kind of does it like this, or my dog kind of does it like that. But even still, as long as people kind of follow the course, they do really well.
And the dog's going to be, both of them are going to be way better off than they would have been just hacking around trying to do it on their own.
Exactly. And people just love the fact that it just is clear. It tells them exactly what to do and when, rather than, hey, here's concepts behind obedience. Now go figure it out for your dog individually. So yeah.
So anything funny or bizarre happen in your travels as a dog trainer?
Oh boy, do I have some stories.
Yeah.
Do you guys like name dropping, or is that gauche?
No, I don't care. Sure. As long as they don't sue me.
So one story I tell a lot because it just cracks me up was I trained a dog for Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay.
So are you a sports fan?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I went to college on a football scholarship and so forth, but
oh, cool.
But,
okay. Yeah. So even a lot of people who aren't sports fans know Shaquille O'Neal. So trained a dog for him. Another trainer friend of mine and we go down to his place in Miami to deliver him this dog. This is a German Shepherd, a protection dog, this tough dog. And so we take the dog down, so he's on a flight. And so by the time he gets there, we're wanting him to go to the bathroom. He doesn't want to. And so some dogs struggle to go pee, after a flight. And anyways, he hasn't peed at the airport. We put him in the car. We drive out to Star Island out there in Miami, and we show up at Shaq's house. The guy is, everybody, he's big.
Yeah, he's enormous. Yeah.
But there's nothing that prepares you for how massive a human can be. And so I'm a big dude. And so, this guy is unbelievably big, and he's just funny, and he's weird, and anyways, so we're still trying to get this dog to pee. And so dog doesn't want to pee. So we're in the house doing some training. We're there for like an hour or two. Hey, why don't we go out and give the dog a pee break? So, my friend Joe and we go outside. Shaq comes out with all of his kids. He's got a whole nest of kids there, and his wife, and he lives on the intercoastal where a lot of boats go past.
Right.
And anyway, so we're trying to get this dog to pee. Me and Joe go off to the side. We're trying to get him away from the noise and see if the dog will pee. And then Joe taps me on the shoulder, and he's like, dude, he's peeing. And I was looking at the dog. No, he's not. And he's nudging me dude, he's peeing. And he nudges me a little bit more. And I look over, and there's Shaq right in front of a huge boat of tourists, and right in front of us peeing right in the bushes for the whole world to see. And I'm just I almost lose it at this point. How do you respond to that?
No. Maybe he's trying to show the dog what to do.
Yeah. Lead by example.
Oh, man. That is pretty good. Too bad that would be quite a few views on YouTube.
Yeah. Shaq, I'm sure to this day has no idea who I am. He couldn't pick me out of a lineup, but boy, did I have fun staying at his house for a week and training his dog with him. So, yeah.
So did you ever get screwed over in business?
Yeah. I have.
And what'd you do about it? You put the protection dogs on them.
I've thought about that.
Yeah.
So two things: processes and forgiveness. So what I mean by that is one way we've been able to sell a lot, and especially dog training. So dog training is something it's hard to measure it, right? Because like my dog is now better. How much better? Like
yeah, it's not exactly quantifiable.
Yeah. So I mean, in make money, like, hey, I taught this student, they made an extra 50,000, very measurable, or whatever. So many industries that you can measure it. So
Right.
dog training is tough to measure. So anyways, where I'm going with that is it's really tough to give guarantees to people on what things are going to be like. So it can be a tougher sell because people are like, well, I give them all this money and then what happens?
Right.
And so one thing that we've done in order to kind of make the risk less and make people feel more comfortable is payment plans. And so we're actually one of the only dog trainers that do it. We're so confident in our system that we're able to do it. And we don't do payment plans where it's like, well, sign up for PayPal credit or sign up for
Right.
this. It's like, no, we'll self-finance it. And so we add some interest, but we'll give people options over 3 months or 6 months. So their dogs was trained months ago and they're still paying. They better be feeling pretty confident about this decision. And so there are probably, in the beginning, before we had our systems down, we had people take advantage of it and we lost money. And I took some people to court but I very quickly learned that whole going to court business makes me feel disgusting, even though I won every one because we had contracts and, we fulfilled and the dogs actually did well. We won and we were right. I felt disgusting.
But nobody wins, really.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I won. Even though we got
Did you ever
money.
have to take the dog into the courtroom and teach him, show that he can do stuff?
No, but I do like that idea of like doing the old Annie trick. Put the dog in the middle and see if the dog goes to the owner or the trainer. That would have been awesome.
Right.
No, because it was just a simple contractual thing. Like, look, you promised to pay this, you didn't, and so give this guy money. And so, like I say, we would win, but I felt gross. And so really, we worked on systems. So systems meaning sales systems, so that I would feel more comfortable about people. Because looking back, when I sold training to people that screwed us, I kind of knew going in that they were dirtbags. Like you can kind of get that feeling and there was something off. But, running a company and having employees, you're so desperate to sell to make that revenue. But in honing our training, in honing my sales systems, that comes up so much less. And, just questions that I ask that kind of weed people out and, the way that I promise things, and it really weeds people out so that we have a really great clientele these days. And
there's a product right there is how to pick your clients.
Yeah.
That is a product. And then one just small point that we do because we self-finance lots of things too. But what I do is I say, okay, here's the price and we'll finance it for you with zero interest and no credit check. That's how I couch it. But we'll give you a cash discount. So that way, when they hear the word zero interest, that's great. And no credit check, that's great. And so that has sold way more on our finance options because of saying zero interest. People love that. And then giving them a cash discount, a lot of people do take advantage of it if it's significant enough and pay it all up front. So that's how we do that one.
I like that because often people ask that. They're like, well, do you do a credit check? And I'm like, no, I'm a dog trainer. I'm just,
Yeah.
You give me your credit card, I'll charge it every 30 days. And they're like, oh, so no credit check? And, but yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense because that even makes it less risk.
Well, yeah. And, but I mean, hearing them say no credit check also would be maybe a red flag in your choosing.
Yeah. They're like, wait a minute, what am I going to find on your credit?
So, okay, well, we got to take a little break from our sponsor, but when we come back, we're going to ask Ty about what's a typical day look like for him and his work and how he stays motivated. So let me tell you about the Screw the Commute private Facebook group, folks, where you can interact with me, my staff, and with other great entrepreneurs and like-minded people just like you. And as a place where my staff and I put in training and business tips a couple times a week. And you can ask questions and you get feedback on things that you are doing. And I also give you quick tips on things that have saved and made me tons of money over more than 40 years in business. And myself and my staff also give you more in-depth postings on all kinds of business topics. So it's a really good bargain. Check it out in the show notes at screwthecommute.com, or you can go directly to screwthecommute.com/Facebook. And we even have a lot of times we have a thing running where it's $1 trial for 7 days, and then you can pay monthly, or you can pay by the year and get a big cash discount. So that's Screw the Commute private Facebook group. All right, let's get back to our dog trainer extraordinaire, Ty Brown from, it's called Communicare, right? Is that the name of the actual company?
No, it's Ty the Dog Guy. So
Ty the Dog Guy is now the company name.
Yeah. We used to be Communicanine, which I thought was so clever because it mixed communication with canine.
Right.
But no one could ever remember
Exactly.
it. They couldn't write it on a check.
I just messed it up right now. And
Yeah.
I've known you for years. Yeah.
And so yeah, when I got a storefront, the first time we got a building, I was like, I can't put Communicating up here. People are going to drive past and have no clue what that means. So that's when we switched to Ty the Dog Guy.
That was a good move. Everybody out there, see what he thought was cool in the beginning and worked for a while didn't work out in the long run. With we teach Ty what we call glanceable marketing.
Yeah,
and you can't glance at Communicanine Utah.
Yeah, exactly.
You can barely say it when you're trying to say it. Ty the Dog Guy, perfect. Everybody gets that. It's great for media. Hey, Ty the Dog Guy's on next hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not the guy from Communicanine Utah. It sounds like hell. So that's a great idea. So now that you're moved away, it sounds like you said you still travel back and forth, but what's a typical day look like for you running a big company like this remotely?
I'm embarrassed to admit it because it sounds, but living in Charleston, I mean, as we're taping this right now, it's February, but it's 76 degrees out.
I know it's really nice today here too.
Oh, it's great. I'll go to the beach after this and,
take your new fancy dog with you.
Yep. So we'll take the dog. We'll go to the beach. So a lot of what I do is phone calls. So I do my sales over the phone now. And so, I'll head to the beach. I'll usually have 4 or 5 phone calls a day of people that have signed up looking for more information and want to talk about our programs. Or I might head fishing, but I'm in a good place where I can go be around water, which is what I love. Be around water, do my phone calls. Yesterday I went to the beach. I had some copywriting I needed to do, some email sequences I needed to do, and was helping out some other dog trainers with their marketing. So I went and wrote some stuff at the beach while I did that. And so yeah, most days I get up, hang out with my kids for the first couple hours, eat breakfast, hang out. My wife homeschools our 4 kids, and then they go off and do their day. I do my thing. We meet back up in the evening and we hang out. We go on walks. We play. We watch TV. And
are the kids involved in the dog training at all?
Not really. They like it. They're interested in it, but yeah, they talk about maybe one day wanting to do it. But they're doing their kid things now. Sure. And so
now how long does the sales call take you?
So I block 30 minutes for a sales call. Most of them take 10 to 20, maybe 25. Mm-hmm. And so
do people know that in advance, how long it's going to be?
So when they book it, I mean, they book it through Acuity. I don't know if you know Acuity. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they book it through Acuity and it shows like a half-hour segment.
Okay.
And
so it's pretty obvious up front, because I imagine some people could go on and on and on about their little foofies without getting to the point of let's train this little dog.
Yeah. And that's a big part of my job, is to try to direct the conversation in a way that's helpful for them, which is not rambling and rambling and rambling. So, yeah.
All right. So how do you keep motivated when, you can go sit at the beach if you feel like it, and you probably a lot of times don't have to do anything if you didn't feel like it. So how do you keep motivated?
Really, it's my team. It really is. And so for me, like the most, I don't want to sound weird, but the most sacred responsibility that humans have is to take care of their family, physically, mentally, and financially. And so that was always, taking care of my family financially has always been such a huge motivator. It almost led me to kill myself, driving myself into the ground, working so unbelievably hard for, a decade and a half.
Right.
And so this is the first time I've ever kind of cared for myself in a really long time. But now that we've got, all these employees and team members that they've got families and they've got mortgages. And so it is a big, big deal to me. Like it's something I don't take lightly. The hiring, firing process, but just keeping people around, keeping them happy and making sure that they can take care of their obligations and responsibilities is enormously important to me.
Well, good for you. And you're breathing decent air now too. So
I haven't got sick this winter. It's amazing. Yeah. Like I've been breathing good and I love it.
Okay. So they go to, it's TyTheDogGuy.com or what's the website now?
Yep, you got it right. Ty the Dog Guy. TY is my name. The as in TyTheDogGuy.com.
TyTheDogGuy.com, and that'll lead them to the online courses, the books. They happen to be in what service area do you actually service for actual training?
So 90% of our clients are Salt Lake or within 70, 80 miles of Salt Lake. And then 10% are people that bring us their dogs from around the country or bring me to them, around the country. And so yeah.
So what if Shaq needs some maintenance training on himself?
On himself?
Yeah.
I'd be there to heartbeat.
Star Island.
That guy's hilarious. And so this was a long time ago when he played for Miami, but yeah, I'd go to heartbeat. I love that guy.
There's my dogs barking there. So, well, great. It's so great catching up with you, man. I really, really appreciate the stuff you've done for my dog when you were here and just on that short period of time. Now he's gone to doggy heaven now. He had a bad disease, but I got a new boy here that's it's a good thing I practiced on Rubik's because this guy is like a whole other level. I mean, he's like a tank with afterburners and no brakes. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, thanks to Ty for being on. Make sure you check out all his stuff in the show notes. And you folks in business, there were some really great lessons here on hiring the right people, grow your own. It sounded like to me, if that makes sense for your business, and being able to run a business remotely, which is a lot of people want a lifestyle business like that. So make sure you listen to this again, and you'll get a lot of good tips for yourself. And also check out our app at screwthecommute.com/app. So you can, this will be, I'm sure, one of your favorite episodes. You want to keep it with you and listen over and over. And we will catch you on the flip flop. See you later.